Do you want to wake up feeling like you're stepping into who you're meant to be, into the best possible version of you? What if I told you that the key to your best life, health, and happiness are all around you? You just have to find what works for you. I'm Hope Pedraza, and I believe that there isn't just one way to live a healthy and meaningful life, and that all you need is a little inspiration to make changes that last from the inside out. Each week, I'll be sharing tangible tips and inspirational interviews to help you on your journey. These are the steps to take to improve your life and live with purpose. This is Hopeful and Wholesome. Hey y'all, welcome back to Hopeful and Wholesome. On today's episode, I want to talk about the 4 most common root causes of chronic symptoms. And at this point, I've worked with dozens and dozens and dozens of women. And these women have dealt with everything from, common gut issues to autoimmune issues to mystery symptoms, clinical anxiety, depression, postpartum autoimmunity, insomnia, chronic migraines. I mean, you name it, the list of symptoms is endless. And from working with all of these women and some men and kids, there's some men and kids thrown in there too, I have really narrowed down the most common root causes to all of these. And I could really honestly break it down into 4. And I can almost guarantee you that, yes, while there are other things at play, there's always nuances to this. These 4 really are the most common. So I'm going to break these 4 down for you. And maybe some of this resonates with you. First and foremost, you probably know what I'm going to say because I talk about it all the time. But first, it's mineral imbalances, right? So just talk about minerals for a second. Minerals are the spark plugs of the body, right? Literally everything that happens in the body starts here. It's the foundation of every reaction, hormone, enzyme, neurotransmitter, like everything. It starts with the minerals, and they are literally affected by everything else, or they affect everything in the body and are very easily depleted during times of stress. And I think at this point, we all know, if you're listening to this, we all know that really, like, when you sum up all the, root cause things, stress is the cause of disease. It's, 90 whatever percent of, chronic disease, chronic illness, cancer, all of those things. It's stress, right? It's stress on the body. It's the stressful life that we live in. So minerals are very easily depleted during times of stress, especially the really important ones, right? I've broken down minerals in this podcast a million times at this point, and I've talked about the 4 macro minerals, right? Sodium, potassium, magnesium, and calcium, right? The big 4. And we need the most of these. We require the most of these. And these are the 4 that are most easily depleted. So when we're not taking time to replenish, to remineralize ourselves, literally everything upstream in the body is affected. So if you want to know where to start, I did another podcast episode. You can go back and listen to this one. That's a super short little bite-sized episode about like why minerals are so important, why this should be the place that you start when you're trying to balance the body and heal the body. I'm telling you, it starts here. This is why this would be the first functional lab I recommend to everybody, mineral testing. This is why if people are like, what's the one lab I should do if I can't afford to do any more? It's the mineral testing. Like, this is it. And so much of what's happening in the body, all the symptoms that I listed, like any possible symptom you could think of, it starts with mineral imbalances. So this one I could say 100% of the time. I honestly, I don't really ever speak in generalities. I don't like to make generalities because there's always an exception to the rule, but I can say honestly every single time, among other things, of course, mineral imbalances are always there, always. Okay, so that's first and foremost. Second, which I've kind of already mentioned, I guess it kind of ties into all these things, but chronic or prolonged stress, right? Here's the thing. We all have stress. We are humans, right? It's impossible to not get stressed, to not get dysregulated. And really, when we look at it in the, with a kind of holistic perspective, it is a good thing because it's what builds resiliency in our bodies and our nervous systems, right? Is being able to get dysregulated, but then, right, be able to regulate ourselves, right? So stress can be a good thing. It's what gets us through, certain situations. We have to have, our cortisol protects us, cortisol and adrenaline protect us. We need to get out of like a high stress situation, right? So the problem is that it's the inability to cope with it. That's the problem.
It's having the tools and the strategies to bring your nervous system back to baseline, like back to homeostasis after you've gotten dysregulated. This is what leads to dis-ease in the body. It's the inability to regulate yourself. And this doesn't mean like regulate your emotions. I saw this post the other day, and it was a clinical, like holistic psychologist, and she was saying, like, can we all stop talking about regulating our emotions? It's about feeling your emotions, right? And I thought that was brilliant because that's the thing, and that's the thing with the stress. So that was a little bit off topic, but it reminded me of that. But it is not about just being able to regulate your emotions because it's not about your emotions. Because here's the thing: when your nervous system gets in this chronic state of stress, right? It's basically chronically dysregulated. It has a new set point. We've talked about this before on the show, but our bodies adapt, right? That's what they're great at. Our bodies are great adapting. It's what keeps us alive. It's how I, have clients that we get their labs and I'm like, "How the heck are you alive?" It's like because your body is adapted. And what happens is it adapts, but then it leaves some things behind. So it's going to shut down some functions, slow down some functions so that it can just function at like, the most important things. Like I'm still breathing, my heart's still pumping, my brain's still working, but it's going to slow some things down, down the pipeline. And you can run like this for a certain amount of time until you can't. And this is why I always say, you don't have to wait until 28 things are going wrong in the body before you get them checked or you do something about it, right? We have the little signals that end up building up to big signals. There was a study that came out not too long ago. It actually probably did come out a while back, but some functional practitioners have been talking about it and posting about it on social media. And it was talking about like the pre-symptom, is that a thing? Basically, like what the buildup to an autoimmune disease looks like, and how it's like they're basically saying like an autoimmune disease doesn't just pop up one day. You're like, oh my gosh, I have Hashimoto's, or whatever, right? There's signs and there's symptoms, and it's like the buildup of these symptoms build up to a full blown autoimmune disease. And it's simple things. It's not even anything crazy. It's like, skin rashes and hives and skin breakout type, weird skin things. It's, food sensitivities. It's weird body temperature changes. It's headaches. It's right. It's these common symptoms that I see all the time that end up growing into full blown autoimmune disease. And my point with sharing that is that our bodies learn to adapt, and we have to learn how to go back, like turn the clock back on our nervous system to go back to baseline. We have to find out where that, like the actual baseline is, not the baseline of you being dysregulated. Because now I'm dysregulated, because we get into the space where like you're dysregulated, but that's your new normal. So you don't really feel dysregulated because you're dysregulated all the time. But if you really think about like, what is it feel like to be dysregulated? Like I can't concentrate. I'm having trouble slowing down. I'll always have to be moving. Have a short fuse. I've got headaches and brain fog. My brain is going 80 miles a minute. I'm wired but tired. Um, right. All of my blood sugar is kind of all over the place. A lot of times there's like aches and pains involved because your cortisol is elevated, and cortisol is a catabolic hormone. And so it means it breaks things down, like aches and pains and inflammation. That's right. All of these are signs that you are in a chronic state of dysregulation. And when we are in chronic prolonged stress and our nervous system is dysregulated on the daily, this is what leads to this dis-ease in the body. Like it starts there. It starts there and letting our nervous system get out of whack and then not being able to get it back to normal. All right. Number three. This is a big one. These are all big ones. I keep saying that, but this is a big one, especially with women. This is super common. Number three, undernourishment. I don't know how many times I have to say it before I die. Eating less is not best, ladies. I'm telling you right now. Eating less is not best. And chronic undereating is another stressor on the body. It prevents us from holding on to muscle, from maintaining healthy metabolism, and it really keeps your body in survival mode. And I have these conversations all the time, especially with like menopausal and postmenopausal women. I think it's even deeper ingrained in the older generations. I say that with respect. Mainly because, you know, menopause and postmenopausal women were in the thick of diet culture much longer than, Gen Z or millennials, right? They were like immersed in it and the, prime adulting years. And so I think it's so ingrained that it's all about calories and it's all about, the diet foods and it's all about I got to eat less and exercise more. And it's, I don't know, you would think by now this would be like we'd be past this. But I'm telling you, we're not. Like, this is the conversation. And I don't just have this conversation with menopausal and postmenopausal women. Like, there are plenty of other um, women that I have this conversation with, but it's one I have all the time. And I really feel like this contributes to so much of the suffering that happens in menopause and postmenopause is, you have these changes in your hormones and the lower estrogen, you already have so many things working against you. And I will say perimenopause too. Let me just include that. It's perimenopause, which can start, in your 30s. It's, leading up to menopause. You already have so many things working against you, right? Your hormones are dropping, levels are dropping. So, less estrogen, less progesterone. Your your estrogen levels are what protects you from things like high cholesterol and osteoporosis and those kind of things. And so now we have less protection against that. So now we already, are increasing our risk of high cholesterol, osteoporosis, and all. And then on top of that, we're not eating enough to hold on to muscle. So now our bones, there's nothing to protect our bones. We don't have muscle. Do you see what I'm saying? Like there's so many things working against us. So if we, as women, especially talking to you, could really get on the nourishment train and really eat to nourish ourselves, like really prioritizing protein, like not trying to stick to the whole 1,200 calorie a day diet. Like I said this in a live that I did a couple weeks ago. I was like, because I've told women this before, I'm like, my toddler eats more than you. Like, come on, like 1,200 calories is like the dietary requirements for a toddler. So can we get off that train and understand that and you know what, I have a guest later on this year talking about this. If you want to lose weight, you want to lose body fat. Do you know what it takes to lose body fat, to lose weight? You have to have muscle. Muscle is what is the fuel for your metabolism. The more muscle you have, the more fat you burn, the more calories you burn at rest. You have to have muscle. So it's just us being able to wrap our brains around this. The more muscle you have, the faster metabolism, the more you're going to lose weight and burn fat. That's it. So if that's what you want a body with less body fat. You want a body that's more, I don't know, tone or quote, I'm using air quotes here. I know you can't see me, like fit or whatever. Or hey, you just want to stay at a healthy weight. If you want to maintain your weight, you have to hold on to muscle mass. It means we have to prioritize protein. Protein and strength training are the winning combination for building muscle. It's the only way it's going to happen. You really can't have one without the other. You have to do both. So this is a soapbox that I will stand on forever because I have this conversation so often. If you are having the shakes, you're feeling faint, you're feeling weak, right? Those are signs you're not eating enough and you're probably not eating often enough. If you're, breaking bones a lot, you have low, like exercise endurance, like you have a hard time exercising and like recovering. And so, like, there's a lot of signs. But I think whether you have signs or not, if you're a woman, as we age, we have to prioritize muscle and strength training, right? It's just or protein, sorry, muscle, yes, protein and strength training. That's the winning combination. So undernourishment, and I mean, really, the undernourishment part is what leads to so many mineral imbalances. That was the one I talked about first, right? Undernourishment, we're not getting enough nourishment, we're not getting enough food, we're not getting enough minerals, vitamins, right? So much to say about that. Okay, I'm going to go to the last one here so I can get off my soapbox for a second. The last one, most common root cause is gut dysfunction. Now, mineral balancing is only going to do so much if your gut can't absorb the minerals, the nutrients that you're giving it. Not to mention how much the gut plays a part in the formation, the metabolism of certain enzymes needed for hormones, neurotransmitters to keep our brains, our endocrine system working, right? So chronic bloating, constipation, fatigue, brain fog, headaches, all of these can be signs that there's something going wrong in the gut. I know you've heard the old adage before, like, all disease starts in the gut. I think it's mostly true. I don't think it's 100% of the time true, but I think it is mostly true. And it's all about putting all of these pieces together. Everything that I just talked about, it's putting all of these pieces together. So for me, the gut and the minerals really go together. Like these are two huge pieces that really go together. And these are really two of the most crucial labs, my opinion, to be able to look at gut function, motility, gut health, your, gut immune system, your digestion of all things. So there's so much to look at there. But in order to really heal the gut, like, yes, there are things we can do to heal all those things with the gut. If there's, pathogens, whatever, the minerals are going to be important too. We have to remineralize the body to optimize how your cells are functioning, how you're operating on a cellular level to be able to heal all the things in the gut, right? So those are the big four things here. The four main root causes: mineral imbalances, chronic or prolonged stress, undernourishment, gut dysfunction. So if you're wondering what the root cause is of whatever it is you're dealing with, first of all, I can guarantee you it's not just one thing, because it's never just one thing. It could be all four of these. I would dare to say most of the time, these four, there might be more than four, but these four are there most of the time at some level. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. And of course, as always, if you're looking for an approach to put all of these pieces together, that's the work that I do. So you can click on the link below. You can reach out to me on Instagram. We could talk about labs and all the options. But if you're on your own journey and you're just listening to this just for, insight, support on your own journey that you're doing on your own, this is where you want to start. This is where you want to think about it. You want to focus on the minerals. You want to really address the chronic stress, the prolonged stress. Focus on the nourishment piece, right? Not under eating, focusing on the protein, and then working on a healthy gut, right? That's really, those are the four main things that are really going to push your body in the right direction. So I hope this is helpful, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to Hopeful and Wholesome, y'all. If you found value in this week's episode, please subscribe on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast and leave a review to let me know what you thought. I'd love to know what you find useful in these episodes so I can know how to provide the most value I can to my listeners. And if you have topics you'd like to know more about, I'd love to hear those as well. So shoot me a message on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. It's @TheHopePedraza, or you can visit my website, hopefulandwholesome.com. Thanks, y'all.